Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Fremke. Hey, how you doing there? So you hear about all this crazy woke stuff? Oh my gosh. The publishers are out of their mind. Comic book companies are out of their mind. They've all gone woke and crazy. The movie studios have all gone woke and crazy. And video games are going to start turning all woke and crazy. And why am I supposed to care about that? I gotta tell you, every time I read an article about things are getting too woke out there, I just don't understand what people are talking about. It seems like all they're kind of getting upset about is that, more creators are non-straight white men and more products or productions are featuring characters who are not straight white men. And I'm not really sure why that's a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing? I mean, as far as I can tell, most media is still straight white men. There's just a lot more projects out there that are not straight white men. So I don't fully understand, when people start talking about replacement stuff. Straight white men are being replaced. Well, what does that say about all this media 50 years ago? That all non-straight white men were replaced? I mean, how many movies made before the 1970s had an all-black cast? Sure, there were some, mostly made by, non-straight white men production companies, what little there were. But everything was straight white men. The next would be women. And for some reason, that gets people upset too. Straight white women getting roles gets people upset. Everybody got so upset that the lead of the last 3 Star Wars movies was Rey. And they were mad because she was, female. It doesn't bother me. Speaking for myself, as a kid, I was watching Charlie's Angels, Police Woman, The Bionic Woman, Wonder Woman, and female action leads don't bother me. I don't know. Maybe I'm special. Is that my superpower? I have a superpower that I don't get offended by non-straight white men leads? Talk to my therapist about that. But seriously, comic books used to be like 125% straight white men run. For the longest time, the only exception, and I suppose I should say superheroes, because when you get into the romance comic books, it was mostly chicks. And probably just see what an insensitive person I just said. I just said I have not a problem with things being woke, and I just called women chicks. I really should probably talk to my therapist about all this. But, back in the 50s, if you wanted to do a comic book about a non-straight white man superhero, the publishers would have told you to go pound dirt, and that'll never happen, man. Sorry, buddy, suck it up, Buttercup. Non-straight white men don't get published here. Well, now non-straight white men do get published here. So that's bad? Now, of course, some of these productions, will go overboard with creating things that are non-straight white men. And I say non-straight white men because it's easier to say non-straight white men than listing all the 150,000 descriptions for anything else out there. I'm pretty sure I don't even know them all. But heck, I did a video a couple of days ago talking about the most woke thing I ever saw with the Supergirl Legion of Superheroes. I'm always hesitant on what to call it. It's a DVD movie, but they don't have DVDs anymore, so I guess it's a rental streaming movie of some sort. But that's the most woke thing I ever saw. So, they can go overboard with things. But even in that case, I would feel like it's not necessarily like it's wrong to do that. I just questioned the choices of, they made specific choices in the story to downplay straight white men in order to build up other ones, the other categories. And, as a creator myself, I feel like that's completely unnecessary. Kind of reminds me back when Bruce Timm and Warner Brothers Animation was making the Justice League cartoon for Cartoon Network. They kind of went overboard in knocking Superman's powers down, and they said they did this to make the other team members look effective and good. Anybody with an electric laser taser could knock Superman down to his knees, and they would do this, they said, because, they wanted Green Lantern and the Flash to be able to do something. After about a season of this, they kind of realized it wasn't necessary. You didn't have to nerf Superman in order to make Wonder Woman and Green Lantern look good. They look good no matter what. So when productions go overboard with their downplaying of straight white men, it's not necessary. But even when they do go overboard, as I said, to a certain degree, so what? So what? This movie is just so dripping with non-straight white maleism. Pretty much as with any product, it's going to fail if they focus too much on something that's not just making a good story. And, I understand the loss of time and money in a franchise that you love. But, that can happen with anything. It doesn't have to be woke. It could just be like, I hate that costume. I hate that actor. I really wish they would cast somebody different and not use that origin story for that character in this movie. That's going to happen whether or not it's woke or not. There's always going to be some adaptions that people aren't going to like. But in both cases, it never lasts. It'll get rebooted. It'll get relaunched. Actors move on, directors move on, producers move on. So you'll have a chance to like that franchise again. In the meantime, there's more franchises out there. Discover something new, watch something different. I was never very much of a Marvel comic books reader until DC just started to do a lot of things that I didn't like. And instead of giving up on comic books altogether, I just started picking up a few more Marvel comic books than I used to. I always liked the Marvel superheroes, but I was just never really a reader. And when I was kind of like, well, I know I don't like these comics DC's putting out, let's go read some of these Marvel heroes now. So it's not that bad. You can find something. Because overall, it all has to do with perspective. Where is this coming from? Why are people feeling like this? For the most part, I'm talking about American culture. American culture is like this way because, we're supposed to be a melting pot country, and one dominant ethnicity has kind of dictated everything about America for, the first 150 years or so. And so the way the people feel now are, basically responding to that. In a sense, it reminds me of the Ghost in the Shell live-action adaptation. Scarlett Johansson was hired to play the lead role in Ghost in the Shell. Now, there's a lot of ways you can look at that. It's woke because it's not a straight white male movie. Okay? You got a girl as the lead character in an action film. It's woke. Oh, but wait a minute. She's not the right kind of girl. She's supposed to be Japanese. So it's anti-woke. And that anti-woke feeling comes from the fact that there are not a lot of Asian female leads in movies. And this is a movie that could have had one, but the producers decided no to go with Scarlett Johansson. But again, that's just because we're in America and this is how things go. But when the news broke in Japan that Scarlett Johansson was going to play Major in the Ghost in the Shell movie, well, they lost their minds. That was the greatest thing ever. A huge Hollywood actress is going to play Major. That's awesome. See, they didn't care that she was Caucasian because Japanese filmmaking doesn't have the same perspective as the American filmmaking and viewing public has. I mean, to a certain degree, if Japan was going to do an adaptation of Superman, I'd be pretty stunned if the guy playing Superman wasn't Japanese. So it's all perspective. And I think we all just need to remember that and just not be a dick about it. Reminds me about when, Black Lives Matter was becoming a thing. hopefully, now that the Civil War is long over, black lives, will always matter. But people would get upset about it and say, all lives matter. Nobody was saying only black lives matter. So somebody do a meme about that, there was the bombing at the Boston Marathon years back. And so they came up with the slogan, Boston Strong. We survived this horrific bombing in our city, and, we're strong. We're still here. Boston Strong. Nobody jumped up and said, hey, all cities are strong. F you. That'd be a dick thing to say. Don't be a dick. I feel like that's the secret to life. Just don't be a dick. And if somebody's being a dick to you, the number one rule of martial arts is if somebody's picking a fight with you, walk away. I mean, if you can't walk away, then all right, go ahead, roll around in the mud with them. But for the most part, don't be a dick. If somebody's being a dick to you, just say, thank you for your opinion. I'm going to go on my way now. I got comic books to read and movies to watch, and you have a good day. Well, I guess I've been meandering around too much with this video, so I should probably just shut up, huh? And thanks so much for listening and watching, if you were looking at the pictures. I'll also let you in a secret. I am really bad at these things. I am Captain About every other thought that comes out of my head, I go, So you're welcome that I at least take the time to edit those out for you. But if you can be so kind to like, subscribe, and notify, I promise I'll keep making these and I'll keep editing out the